Well, hello traders and investors. I'm L.A. Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective. Each time we're asking ourselves what happened today, what might it tell us about the coming ones. Do the show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube. It's under the channel L.A. Little. Do a weekly show. It's on Sunday. You're going to want to watch it this Sunday because we have the Easter weekend, so no trading tomorrow. In Europe and some other places, no trading on Monday as well. So you're going to have a long weekend. I'm going to give you a preview of what's going to happen tonight, but I'm going to really show you on the Sunday show. So be sure and tune in for that. As far as what happened today, let's take a look at it. You actually had the indexes turn around. They were down pretty good today, and they turn around and they eke out a small gain. The Russell was the biggest winner, but if you look across the board, only the S&P stayed negative. Everything else flipped around, turned into positive gains. 1.5, actually 1.75% down on the DAX. The CAX broke the Draghi bar. DAX is back in it. Gold trades down today. It was up, flipped around. Couldn't get anything going there. Oil did a big reversal. Oil was down 3%, only 0.5% at the close. And so that was the major events. Still have weakness all around the world. So let's quickly flip in here and take a look at what's going on. And we're going to focus our attention here on the S&P 500 and on the Russell. So now I want you to take a look at what happened here, right, and what happened today. And I want you to focus on what they did, right? And I always say at the top of the show, we look at what happened today to give us some clues about what might be coming. And if you look at this pattern here and this pattern, you had the down day trades into the big bar, right? Wide price spread bar, that's an anchor bar in neoclassical terms. It's a place where you can get a measure of what the market wants to do. So it trades into that, flips around, right? Closes on a doji and then heads higher. Today, what do? We have a wide price spread bar here, just misses it, almost trades into it, misses it by a few cents, I believe. We'll get the actual number here in a second. Flips around, closes higher, comes into it, has no volume, right? There was no volume there, but even less volume today. And so you can't close into it. Top of that bar, let's get the numbers. I think it missed it by about 20 cents. 2022.37. You trade to 2022.49. So you miss it by 12 cents. So you come into it, right? Don't quite get to it. And what do? They've seen that pattern, folks, right? They saw it back here, and they saw what happened after. So what do? They jump it, right? They jump right into it. They get ahead of it, and they flip it back around. You get a little hammer reversal back. Although this one didn't close inside the prior bar, but it is a hammer reversal back the other way, right? They're going to try to take it up. Now on the weeklies, it looks a little different. And as I said at the top of the show, we're going to spend some time Sunday analyzing that. So I'll just go forward here. I want to show the Russell. On the Russell, same sort of thing where the Russell flips around and also does a hammer reversal. So we don't have the same pattern that we had on the Russell, but essentially, as I showed you, I think last night, I know I pointed this out. Maybe I pointed it out on a member's video on the trades, but I pointed out this area as the key area. And what do? They come right into that area, right to the bottom of it, and there's no volume, and they flip it around and they do a hammer reversal back inside of this bar. And so tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but Monday, we'll be trading, even though Europe's probably off, or most of Europe is off. We're going to flip around. We're going to try to take it back up, except for if you look at the weeklies, right? And there you have some conflicts, and that's what we're going to look at because it's not going to just go up easily. On the weekly, you're talking about what's going to happen over the whole week. Here we're looking at the dailies. The dailies are saying they're going to try to push up. The weeklies are saying something different. And usually the longer term time frame in neoclassical thought, the longer term time frame is the one you want to pay attention to. There's less noise on that time frame. So we'll focus on that come this weekend. So be sure and tune in for that. If I move over to the world markets, and I'm going to start with The DAX the biggest, strongest in Europe, both in terms of the economy and the market. DAX gets over the Draghi bar yesterday, just barely, right? And when I'm talking about the Draghi bar, I'm talking about, in this case, we have a big spike bar off the announcement that Draghi made. So you just barely get over it with a little doji yesterday. Well, today, climb right back up inside that bar. Can't stay over it, down 1 3/4%. And going to try to come back down and try to test the other side. Now, why would you think the other side? Well, because these markets don't trade in isolation. And if we look at France, France is under the bar, right? It breaks it to the downside today. Now, if you look at the volumes on that break, and it's a swing point low, mind you, so that's what this L is for. So it's a low, has volume, but you get under it, less volume, but you're going to break it. That means you have a trend transition. So no longer is it going to be bullish, which is that up arrow. It's going to turn back to a sideways trend. That's the CACs. If we look a little bit farther where we don't have the European central bank trying to prop everything up, and that's why I've begun looking at Switzerland more so, as well as looking at it because we got some folks over there that are interested. It also tried to trade up yesterday, flips around today, closes down 1.5%. That thing never has even gotten over the swing point low, which was the bearish retest regenerate. And so if you're looking for the weakest market, it's the ones that don't have the support of the ECB. They can't get over the breakdown bar. Not the breakdown bar. The breakdown bar is this bar, right? These two. They can't get over the swing point lows high. And that one's going to try to regenerate lower. If we look over in Asia, right, the Nikkei has been having trouble. The Nikkei still having trouble, and that has to do with currencies. If you look at Hong Kong, Shanghai, they're both rolling over, coming back, just like our markets looked as well. So I don't see anything interesting there yet. Just normal retraces, I don't think is a big deal, but they are retracing for now. Australia and so forth, kind of the same picture. If we look over in the OX markets, and I'll show you here on the EEM, which is the emerging markets, you kind of got that rollover going. They came into the big bar up with the volume, comes into it, holds it, reverses, going to try to lift up come early next week. If we look at the currencies, I'm going to look at the FXY, which is why Japan's still struggling. It's up there near the highs. And if we look at Europe, Europe pulls back, has a little more volume today on the ETF, does do an under-over. I'm curious to see if this tries to flip around now and head higher. If so, that is going to put some pressure on the European equities. And if we move over to the dollar actually over back under today. That looks like it's going to try to retrace. All this week you had Fed talk, Fed chatter about how, maybe we're not nearly as dovish as you think, and that maybe we're going to raise rates in April. This chatter goes on and on. Every time you have a meeting, the very next week, the next 2 weeks, you have all these Fed officials come out and say something different. You'd think they could agree, either in the meeting or outside of the meeting or somewhere, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So the chatter drives it back up, allows you to short it because it's going to come right back down. The big news today was oil. If you look at the USO, you can kind of see it here. That thing was down. It was down a good. What is that? 974 closes at 06. That's 24 more. That was about 3% down. Flips it around, right? Closes back up. This thing's going to try to get back up into these top bars. And if you look at it on the WTI itself, it looks like it can trade up another couple percent. And I think that's where it's going to run into trouble again. But for now, they got the bounce. That got things flipping around in the indexes, and that led to the push back to the top side. Those are the most interesting things tonight. As I said, tune in Sunday night. I'm going to take the large look at things, and it's a different picture when you look at the broader picture. I'll take that up then. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your Easter long weekend, and I'll see you Sunday evening. Good night.